Hi everybody, Fat Steve, Spiceheads-Media, and continuing with my book, Skegy Dell Soll. This is the next chapter, and this is where we'd got sunburned on the beach, and we'd gone up to the prom for a bit, back down to the beach, and wandering around, still trying to recover some of the stuff that were floating. And one of the bags I got had a plastic bag in it, and I had a suit and a shirt and a tie, which I couldn't remember packing, and I don't know why.
Hi everybody, it's Autistic Bobby!
And I'm Fat Steve. And I'm the star of the show, Princess Sandra. And together we're Spicehead-Media. Anyway, we came up towards the prom and we're still in Cleethorpes, although we was trying to get to Skegness. And we found this little cafe, went in there. Nice lady in there called Jill, who helped us over the next few days. She'd seen we were in distress and burned the way we were. And she had some sort of cream, I think it was aloe vera or something. So she let us behind the counter and stripped our tops off and dropped our pants, but nothing in that way. And we covered each other in this aloe vera, and that took the burning sensation off a little bit. Patted it dry, a few minutes, got dressed again. Now, she knew we were travelling, she knew we were young, and as I said, she was very helpful. She made us something to eat and something to drink. So we decided we'd try and get in this club that we'd heard about, and she told us where it was, never said anything about it. Now, her husband had recently passed and he was very similarly built to Howard, so she found him a nice jacket and tie and some trousers. So it got to about 8 o'clock and we were sat on a park bench, wandering up and down the prom and around. It was still daylight because it was May. And we headed along. We could hear this music, this like rock music it sounded like. So it seemed quite interesting. We got to this club and we opened the door, went in, there was a pay box with a girl, and we went up, and it were £1 each to get in. Well, we only had probably a £5 left between us, but as we were there, this doorman come out and looked at us up and down, and he said, "You don't really want to go in there, boys." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Well, it might not be your cup of tea." Well, we just looked at each other and shrugged. We weren't bothered. We wanted a bit of a night out after all this journey. So we walked down the corridor, and there's 2 swing doors like saloon bars. So we stood outside, did our hair and makeup. So we stood there side by side, and I flung the door on the left as Howard flung the door on the right, and in we stepped. And immediately we noticed it was nearly all like Hell's Angels type of people all over this room, and the band's playing, and as they looked at the door, they sort of went like that and stopped playing. And we stood there thinking, that doorman was right and we have made a mistake. So as we'd flung the doors open, my door had hit this guy and spilt his pint, and he's looking at us, and then they all started looking at us, and then they started to get up and come towards us. Howie just said, fuck me man, leg it. So we turned and set off down this corridor. As we got near the end, one of them's got hold of my shoulder, and somebody's got Howard, and Howard spins round. I said Howard was quite good with lots of different martial arts. So as they're coming towards him, we're in this narrow corridor, and he's able to fend them off, and he just says, as I knock them down, you jump on them. So they fall in like 9 pins, and he got hit a couple of times, but I didn't. And as they go down, I'm sort of trying to hold them down with my feet, and so I got back up to this door, and I finally got to the door, and I realised it opened inwards. So the people are piling up here. Howard's in full swing, hey, all this, and suddenly he pushed quite a few of them back, turned, we stepped away from the door, and we managed to get it open and get outside. So off we go. No, I couldn't run in them days, but I did have this tight suit on. So we started running, then we can hear them, they're pouring out the door, loads of them, and then we can hear car engines starting and motorbikes starting. So we run and run down these few different roads here at Cleethorpes. We didn't know exactly where we were going or what we were doing, and we come to this road, and there's a big, like a wire fence. And as we got to this fence, one of the cars pulled up, a few of them jumped out. So Howard helped me up a little bit to the top of the fence. He was tall enough to get it. I flung over it. Howard flung over the other bit, and it was an embankment to a railway, which we didn't know. But we're over, and we start rolling down this embankment. And at the bottom is all these sort of prickly nettles and bushes, and we rolled in there, and we're tangled. We looked up the hill, and them at the top had more or less given in. They weren't going to follow us down there. So, scratched my hands, back of my head, as this is on top of the sunburn. Howie's the same. He gets really tangled, and I have to get this big branch and move the bushes out the way for him to get up. And then as we start figuring out where we are, we're in a sort of railway siding. It's about 9 o'clock now, so it's getting time to try and sleep. So we get on this train, like you would, old-fashioned trains, them days, different to today. So there's little compartments. We head into this compartment, and there's a big bench either side with like rubber, red velvet on it. Howie lies on one, I lie on the other, and off we go into another deep, restful sleep. Strange dreams again all night. Can't remember them. Wake up, it's daylight, the sun's shining in, and then I realise we're moving, and this train's trundling along. We open the door a little bit of this little cabin we're in, and have a look up and down. We can't see anybody, so we don't know what's happening or what's it doing. So it probably travelled for half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, and then stopped at this other sort of railway siding, and off we get. And we're in Grimsby, folks. Now, at the time in my book, I think I described Grimsby as the toilet of the universe. And it was very much then, in 76, the same as most towns across Britain are now. Shops boarded up, derelict, alkies, junkies, tramps, everywhere, all over the place, folks. It was quite alarming for two young boys. So we wandered up and down this high street. Most of it, as I said, were closed. That was, I think, the first time I ever got propositioned by a prostitute. So I said I was just 16. This girl stepped out of a doorway and asked me if I wanted business. And I said, what sort of business? Are you offering me a job or something? She said, no, you know, business. Bang, bang, sucky, suck it. Well, that was a shock. So we moved on from there and we wandered around this town for probably an hour. Then the sun sort of disappeared. It went a bit cloudy and a bit colder. Then it started to rain. So we stood in these doorways wondering what we're going to do. We ended up having to sleep on the floor in there. The day had gone. It was night again. And so we slept in a shop doorway in Grimsby, folks. Woke up the next day thinking, we're still trying to get to Skegness, what we're going to do. We wandered around and found a bus stop, waited, a bus come along, it had Skegness on it. So we hopped on the back of it. The conductor were upstairs. We sat there and trying to look like we don't know anything. He comes down, he's asking for the fares, and of course we've got so little money now, and we just said, oh, we thought is it not a free bus? And so we talked to him for about 5 minutes, so it probably got us a few miles before we got through off. And then we sat there for 20 minutes, waited, and the next bus come, and we did the same, and we did this all the way until we got back to Cleethorpes, folks. So, went back to the cafe, of course. Jill was there, she helped us. She'd looked after the bags for us. We got changed again and decided we'd try and carry on and try and make our way to Skegness, which was our ultimate destination. So we came out of there, we wandered around. It's a seaside town, quite nice, lovely place. And I think Dawn's here. Somebody's here. So I'm going to leave you there and I'll come back later or tomorrow. She's not come in yet. Anyway, we wandered around and managed to thumb a lift that got us probably halfway to Skegness. So we'd nearly completed our mission. And that night we slept in another field.
Everybody, it's Arteta Bobby!
And I'm Fat Steve. And I'm the star of the show, Princess Sandra. And together, we're Spicehead-Media.